Hey there, welcome to day 3 of our build. This is what you're going to be building. This part where you showcase your work, and this other part where there is a get in touch with me part. And basically that's what we're going to be building so that we finish with our 3 days build. So let's jump into our IDE. And for that, I'll go out of this skills part, and also I'll go out of this work part. That means I'll add another section here, add another section, and for that part, for that section, sorry, I'm going to divide it in this way. There will be a class. Okay, let me first give this one a class, and we're going to call it work. Let's give it a class of work or works, so that we don't confuse it with this ID of class. And inside that section, I'm going to put an h2, and I'm going to give it a name of, maybe I'll say some of my work, and this is totally up to you. You can add whatever you want there. And down here, I'm going to create a new div, because I would like to apply this styling right here. Okay, this is our project, but the finished one. I would like to apply this styling right here, and I'll quickly go back here, and I'm going to give it a section, a div, and inside that div, I'm going to add 3 other sections. Section times 3, and each section should have an image, should have an image tag. Where is it? Should have an image tag, and down here we should have a p tag for paragraph, because you're going to put some paragraphs there. I'm going to give a p tag, and now this image tag, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say, I'm going to give it an out of work, say work number 1, and let me first quickly copy this, because we are going to apply the same styling. I'm going to paste it here. I also paste it here, and now what I can do here, I'm going to say work 2 and work 3, and inside these paragraphs I'm going just to put some dummy text. And by the way, you should put there some description to your work, also some links if you want to give them access to see your GitHub repository or to see your deployed work. That's what you can put there, but for now I'm going to put this dummy text, and let's just get some images here. And here I'm going to type maybe website images, so that we get some images here. And what you're going to do here, we're going to just pick some random images. I'm going to copy the link, copy image address, and I'll put that link right here, and I'll just duplicate it, And by the way, you shouldn't put some random images there. You should put some of your work, the work you want to showcase. And I'll quickly go back to our portfolio. I refresh and see how it looks like. Okay, that looks nice, right? But now we don't want it to be styled like that. We want some, how can I say, we want it, okay, we want to add some cool design on it, and maybe to put them side by side instead of putting them in one block. And for that, I'll quickly go back here and I see my work. Let me first style the whole section. So I'm going to say class, and here I'm just going to put some comments so that we don't get lost. Say maybe works. Yeah, and down here I'm going to add that class of works, and I'll first give it a margin top so that it gets a bit down. I'm going to give it a margin top of 6 rem, 6 rem, 6 rem, oh, 6 rem. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to give it a color, and that will be RGB 241, 141, 210, and let's say another 210, so that it has something like a white. Yeah, going to give it a background of black, because as I told you, I want the whole website to have some dark mode, and I'm going to give it a padding of 1 rem. As always, I like 1 rem, I don't know why. So we'll give it a try. Okay, that looks nice. But now we're getting an error, and this is happening because let me see. I think, yeah, I added a margin top that was not needed there. Go back, we give it a try, and yeah, that looks nice. That looks nice. And here, I'm going now to style this session. I mean, I'm going to style this whole div, and I'm going to access it by its parent. That means works, the class of works. I'm going to say div, and there, that div, I'm going to give it also a padding of 1 rem, and I'm going to give it a display of grid, so that we have those images side by side by assigning them some specific width and so on. Here we're going to say grid template columns, and want them to scale automatically according to the available size. I mean the available width on the screen, and a column gap of 20 pixels. So in kind of to separate them. And here we go. We give it a try. Yeah, that looks nice already. That looks nice. As you can see, this side, we are now getting some unusual black spaces, and we are getting that because this image is taking it's taking 100% width. So now we should style the image so that we give it a certain width so that it doesn't scale until it reaches 100%. And for that, I'm going to quickly say works. Again, I'll access it by the parent element, works image, and I'm going to give it a height. I would like it to have its own height. I mean, it inherits the height, But now for the width, I'm going to say maybe I'll give it a width of 25 rem. Let's give that a try and see if that works for us. We refresh. Yeah, exactly what we wanted. Exactly. That means it works just fine. And now what you're going to do next here, this one, I don't want this whole part to be black, like the real black. I'm going to change this background here and maybe just, I don't know, maybe some dark gray instead of black. Let's just give it a try and see. We take 32 and 31, and right here let's add a 31. We give it a try. We refresh. Okay, great. I think that looks nice, right? Now what you're going to do next is to change this. You see where this is appearing on the left, but now what we want it to appear like right here in the middle. And for that, I'll quickly go back to my CSS and see what's going on here. Let me see. This one is appearing on, this works. Let's just give it a text align of center so that it centers everything in that div in the middle. And let's give it a try and see. Yeah, actually it's appearing in the middle as expected. So that's cool. Now what we can do next, let's first look at the project that is done. And okay, just here I added some other images that I also picked from internet. And now we are going to build our last part. Guys, we are getting closer and closer. So let's quickly go back to our current project and see how things look like here. And now we are going to add another div like down after this one. But before that, I think this one shouldn't be like, the width shouldn't be 100%, but let me see, we can add maybe some margin here, and we're going to say margin of 1 rem, so that, let me see. Okay, that doesn't seem to work because what we want is a bit different from what we are getting. Okay, let me quickly go back to my CSS and see. Okay, actually I've seen what's going on here. We don't want this background to be here, we want it to be down here. And let's try if that will give us the expected result. Yeah, actually we are getting the expected result, but now one problem is that, as you can see here, we are giving this section, we are giving it a background, but the parent element doesn't have any background, and by default the browser will give it a white background. So to change that, I would like this whole div to have a black background. And for that, I'm going to come up here because we gave this div a background, but the parent element doesn't have any background. So if I quickly do this, say background, set it to black, yeah, we should have some good results here, right? Yeah, that's exactly what we we expect, right? We get some black background to the parent element so that the child will style it a bit different. And now what we're going to do next is to add another div for this. Let me quickly show you. Yeah, for this part here, for the contact me part. And now we just go back to our browser, I mean to our IDE, and for that we already have a footer section, because I would like to think of it like a footer. And that footer, I will give it another section, and that section, we'll think of it like, okay, let's first give it an ID. We're going to say contact, because it's a contact part. Give it an ID of contact, and down here let's put a span, or not a paragraph. Let's just put a span tag, and inside that tag I'm going to say maybe get in touch, get in touch with me, get in touch with me. And why am I putting those capital letters there? It's for the purpose of some design, so that you attract the clients. You attract the clients to focus on that part. And down here, I'm going to add a form. I'm going to add here a form, and inside that form, I'll have some inputs. On the first input, okay, actually each input can be considered as a div, and I'll have, how many divs am I going to have here? How many divs? Let's just look at our project and see how many inputs we have. Not this one, but the finished one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that means we're going to have 4 divs, and in each div I'll put an input, because we are thinking of it like that. Input, and I'll quickly style this input, not to style it, but add some properties. And here we're going to start with the text type, because each input should have a type. And actually this is a self-closing tag. And here we're going to say type equal text, because that's what we want to output there, text. And I'll add an ID, and here I'm going to say maybe contact email. Yeah, contact email, because he or she going to put email there. And I'll give it a name, but now this name, I'll say contact email, like the ID, contact email. I'm going also to add a placeholder, and I'll say email. Okay, let me quickly remove this. Say email. Now let me quickly explain this. Now each input should have a type. We have so many types of input. We have text, we have password, and so on. We have numbers. So you should specify which type of input you want. You should give it an ID if you want to style it or to reference it. And this name, it's actually, I should have here contact email, but now this is mostly for the purpose of the backend side. If you're sending some information to the backend, we should know, oh, what has the client sent, and a contact email. Okay, so that you store the contact email in a sort of variable. And now quickly go down. The second part is going to be, let me first copy this. And oh, oh, actually I've done a quite big mistake. Instead of copying, I've pasted something there. And I'll quickly change that. Input text, and we have an ID of contact email, have a name of contact email, and right here at the end we have a placeholder of email. Now what is a placeholder? A placeholder is like some text you see in your input to quickly tell you what you can put in, I mean what you can input there. Let me quickly show you how it looks like. And if we refresh, we now have a new div. It still looks weird, but it's right here. You see that placeholder where they say email? That's what we had put there as our placeholder. Sorry, and you can put whatever you want there according to what hint you want to give your client. Because if you come here and say, oh, email, that means I should put there my email or something like that. So it's a kind of giving a hint to your client. And now let me copy this again, say Ctrl C, and I paste it here. Now here we're going to have an input of text, but the ID is going to change and will be contact subject, and here we're going to have the name of contact subject, and a placeholder of subject, because we want to know what does a client want. Like if he wants to work with you, that will be the subject according to that. And here we are going to have our third input, and this one is going to be a bit different because it's this one is a text area. So we want to give our client some enough space where they can easily write what they want or what they are looking for. And this text area is going to have a certain number of columns and rows. And here we'll quickly add some rows, and we want to give 50 rows and also some columns, columns, and we're just the attribute is calls, and we want to give them, let me see, no, actually we could, 50 rows are many for them, give them 10 rows, and for columns, that's where I'm going to say 50 columns. I'll add, after that I'll add an ID, and the ID I'm going to say contact message, contact message, and here I'll start with a C. For the ID, sorry, ID, I'm also going to add a name, and I explained why we should add a name, contact message, and last thing is going to be a placeholder and that placeholder is going to be maybe enter message, enter message. I'll add some three dots and should add a closing tag. And down here, let me quickly remove this. So this is our third div. Is it our third div or our, like, there's a div here, there's another one here also. This one should be wrapped in a div, right? This text area, actually not the text area, but the contact subject should be wrapped in a div like this. So now we have three inputs and three divs. Now we are going to use this last div to put a button, like a send message button or a submit button. And for that, I'll quickly add a button. I'm going to say maybe submit or send. Yeah, it's a send button, so that you, by the time you click on it, you know that you are sending something. And in our case, we are sending a message. And especially for the form, we have to give it a type of submit and a class, so that we style it the way we want. And I will give it a class of submit. So let's see how it looks like in our browser. And I refresh. Yeah, we have everything set up right here. We have our text area, our two input of type text, and our send button, that is a submit button. And I'll go to my CSS so that I style everything the way I should style it. And let me quickly go back to my IDE, and I'll go right here. And as you can guess, we are going to start with the ID, that ID of the whole div. Let me just go down here, and I'll add another comment, and I'll say footer. And now down here, I'm going to call the ID. Oh, this is not about, but it's contact. Sorry, it's contact. And we go down here, we give it a background, and that background is actually a picture. And in my case, I'm going to pick some random picture from the internet. And now I'll go back again. I say website. Let me say website images, and I'll just pick one image here. Let me go to images, and I look for the image that will suit me. And actually, let's see, we can pick this one. Yeah, I think this one. And I'll copy the image address so that I can reference it in my browser. I mean, in my background URL. And here, what I'm going to do next is to add a color. I will give it a color of 63. Yeah. And down here, I'm going to put a text align center, so that I center everything in the middle. And I'm going to give this a height. Remember, we did this yesterday of 100 view height, right? And we'll quickly go, and yeah, the background is there, and we have set a 100 view height. So that looks nice up until this point. Now we go back and we continue the styling, and I'll say let me see what I want to style next is going to be our submit button. Yeah, this submit button, and I'll just come here, and did I give it a class or an ID? Yeah, it was a class. I'll say class of submit, and I would like to submit that one. And okay, actually, let's not rush and quickly style the button before styling the rest of it. And for that, I'll first style my span, right? I'll first give it a class of maybe title, or let me just say contact title, and that's what I'm going to reference here. I wanted to rush up to the submit button, I don't know why. Contact, and for that I'll give it font size. I say font size, and that is going to be 30, or let me say 28 pixels, approximately that. And I'll give it a color of white, and let's give it a try and see. Yeah, it has been styled. Now it's here, and it has some, and it's bigger than before. Continue with the styling, and for that I'll quickly go back here, and now what I'm going to do next is to style the form, and I gave it an ID of, let me see, let me quickly check this. This section has an ID, and inside we have a form, so we can access it saying contact form, and there I'm going to put a margin top so that it goes a bit down, a margin top of 30 pixels, and a color. Actually, I don't need a color. Let me just give this a try, and yeah, now it's a bit down, and I'm quickly going to add some other styling. I'm going to say contact inputs. I would like to style the inputs contact input, and contact text area, and I'm going to say those ones, like whatever input is in the contact class ID, or the text area, I'm going to give it a padding of 18 rems, 18 rem, and I'll go down here and say the color, going to be a khaki, and down here I'm going to have background, and I'll set that to h tag 888 889. Yeah, I think it's something like that. So we'll give it a try and see. We also add a margin top of 20 pixels, and down here, just down here, we are going to add a border. We are going to set back the border to 0, because by default each input has some border, and we're going to set that to 0, and a font size of 15 pixels. Yeah, and now we should give them each of them a width of 40 pixels of the whole width. So now that's too much styling for now. Let's see the output. Okay, this is not really working the way we expect it to be. Now why is that happening? Let me see. Why is that happening? Okay, let's first go back to our code and see here. Oh, actually I gave it a padding of 18 rem. I was supposed to give it a padding of 18 pixels. Yeah, great, that works. But now the remaining problem is these placeholders. Now we are not seeing them very well, and this send button is not well styled. I mean, it's not styled the way we want it to be styled. And for that, I will quickly go back here, and that's to style a placeholder. We have to do the like this, and we say placeholder. We'll give it a color of, let's try a black color, and see the output here. Yeah, I think right now you can see it very well. And the next step is going to be, we are going to be styling this send button. I'll quickly check for the class I gave it here. I gave it a class of submit. It's not a class, but an ID of submit. And let's try if that works by giving it a color of white. I give it a color of white. I'll go back, refresh. Nothing seems to happen. So why is nothing happening at this point? We'll figure out why. Let's go back here and check our HTML. Yeah, and that was a class, not an ID. So I'll put a dot here, and we go back, we refresh. Yeah, now that send has seemed to disappear, but actually it's still there. But I had put it just to try if it works. And now I'm going to quickly style that part, and we are going to first remove the border. As I said, also buttons have some initial borders, and I'll set that back to 0 so that we remove it. And I'll put a width. I'll give that button a width of 30%. And down here, I'm going to say I'll add a border radius of only 3 pixels, and let's give it that a try. And I refresh. Yeah, it's becoming bigger than it was, but we don't want that style to be that weird. And for that, I'm going to first transform that to uppercase, so that the whole send button is set to uppercase, and I'll give it a letter spacing of 3 pixels. What else can I put here? A background. Yeah, background, and the background is going to be hash 03. Let me say B7. EE. Yeah, so that we get some kind of blue. And I'll add some padding here of 1 rem the way I like it, and I'll go back, I refresh, and yeah, that's pretty cool. But now I'm going to put also a margin here, just to add some spacing between the text area and the button, to give it a 1 rem. And actually I'm going to set this border radius to 10 pixels. I go back, I refresh. Yeah, actually that works, right? Now that's it. We are let me say we are done with that. But actually let me say we are almost done, because if you look at the real build, let me quickly show you what I'm saying. If you refresh here, when you hover here, you see that color is changing to some, you are seeing some red and some underline, and that what I forgot to show you. And for that, I'll quickly go back to my HTML, and right here on the links, this class of links, where we'll access each list item, I'm going to style it there. So it's right here down. I'm going to say links, each list items in the links class, and this is a dot. When you hover it, we should have some color of, let me say, tomato, and some text decoration of underline. So underline, when we go back and we give it a try, you'll see it, right? It's here showing, guys. And that was the last part we had to build, and now our portfolio is working just fine and everything is here. But now what I can advise you to do is to go and customize it the way you want. You can change almost everything here and customize it the way you want according to your needs, right? And guys, thank you for sticking with me on this, of staying here for these 3 days. We are done with our work. I think everyone is really satisfied about this. And let me know in the comments if that was helpful to you or something like that. And by the way, don't forget to share, to like, and to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.